Hello again, my DIY loving friends. I'm Sarah, and this is Medicated Housewife DIY, where crafting and mental health come together, and where we transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. Today, we're diving into some quick wood decor DIYs that'll give your home a luxurious makeover without breaking the bank. Yes, you heard that right. Dollar Tree hacks that scream high-end elegance. So what are we waiting for? Let's go DIY together. For this DIY, I'm starting with this small circular gift box from Dollar Tree, and I've drawn a line at the halfway mark, dividing it into 2 sections. Then, using a box cutter, I slice the gift box into 2 separate pieces. I'm using this Beacon 3-in-1 craft glue, which I will link for you below, but the super glue wood glue from Dollar Tree will also work for this just as well. I've got a total of 52 tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to glue all 52 into groups of 2 blocks that are attached end to end for a total of 26 groups of 2 blocks. I have a mixture of water and some Faux antique wax, which I will link for you below. And first, I use that mixture to paint the 2 pieces of cardboard gift box that we cut in half. And I'm going to paint the entire inside and then the outside of the box. Basically, I'm painting the entire surface of the box pieces, top to bottom. Then I'm using that same antique wax and water mixture to paint all 26 groups of my 2 blocks. And I'm painting them on all sides and on the ends. And then I'm going to put them aside to fully dry. Then I begin attaching the 2 block sets to the half of the cardboard box. I turn the box upside down and place the first set of blocks the thin way, standing up. And then I'm going to do the next 2 block set. I place that the wide flat way, as you see me doing right here. And I'm going to be alternating between thin and flat with each 2 block set until I get all the way to the opposite end of the cardboard box, having used 13 of my 2 block sets. And then I repeat that entire process on the second half of the cardboard box the exact same way. And I'm going to allow all of those glued blocks to dry. I grab this bamboo cutting board from Dollar Tree and I paint the board using the same antique wax and water mixture on the front and on the back and on the sides. But then after doing 2 or 3 coats of that diluted wax, I decided I wanted a deeper color, so I painted over that with some straight undiluted antique wax to get a deeper, darker color on the cutting board. Once all my paint and glue were dry, I used some of this E6000 glue, which I will link for you below, on the tops of my 2 block sets. And then I placed the bamboo cutting board on top of my 2 sides of cardboard box and blocks. And this is my tumbling tower block and bamboo cutting board riser. And once again, I'm very happy with the interesting wood textured look of this riser. The 2 half moon bases look amazing with the cutting board, and this riser is very sturdy thanks to the cardboard box base that the blocks are attached to. All in all, another high-end feel to a simple wood block and cutting board riser. I kind of feel like I'm on a roll with the risers here lately, and I, for one, am very happy about that. And I truly hope you are too. For this DIY, I've got a pack of 36 small wood cubes from Dollar Tree, and using some super glue wood glue also from Dollar Tree, I'm going to actually attach the 36 cubes together in a square, just like the way that they are packaged. So that's a 6x6 square that we are going to glue together using this super glue wood glue. Next, I've got some of those lovely brown tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree. I told you guys I'm gonna find a way to use these if it's the last thing I do. I've got 8 blocks that I'm going to glue into groups of 2 blocks attached end to end. And then I take those 4 groups of 2 blocks and attach them together in a square shape, as you see me doing right here. Next, I take 4 more of the brown blocks and attach them inside the square at the 4 corners, just as you see me doing right here. And you can always pause or replay the video at any point if you need to see something again. I take 16 more brown blocks, and for those of you keeping track at home, that's a grand total of 28 of these brown blocks used for this project altogether in total. We take the 16 blocks and glue them in groups of 2 that are attached sandwich style. That's 1 block on top of another. So we end up with 8 groups of 2 sandwiched blocks. I'm using this apple barrel matte paint in the color Jet Black, and I will link it for you below, to paint all my brown blocks. So that's the square shape with the 4 blocks inside it, plus the 8 groups of 2 sandwiched blocks, all painted a solid black color on all sides. For my wood cubes, I'm using this Varathane wood stain in the color Ipswich Pine, which I will link for you below, and using 4 more loose wood cubes, bringing our wood cube total to 36 plus 4, which is 40 wood cubes used in total. I stain the 4 loose cubes on all sides with the Ipswich Pine stain, and then move on to the 36 cube square. I stain that with the same stain on both sides and all the edges, and I believe I did 2 coats of stain on all the cubes, wiping the excess away with a dry paper towel, and then putting the whole thing aside to fully dry. When the paint and the stain are dry, I take my 8 sandwiched 2-block sets and I glue 1 stained cube on top of 4 of these 2-block sets, and then add some glue to the top of the cube before placing another 2-block sandwiched set on top of that. So I'm left with 4 pieces that are made of 2 sets of 2 blocks with a stained cube in the middle, as you can see right here. I add some glue to the tops of those 4 blocks that we placed on the corners inside of our block square, and I place my 36 cube square directly on top of them, centered in the middle of the square, and allow it some time to dry. I turn the cube and black square upside down and use some E6000 glue to attach my 4 cube and block legs into the 4 corners of the square, adjusting those legs so that they are all evenly spaced around the 4 blocks that are in the corners of the square. So I move the 4 legs so that they are all in line with one another. Hopefully that makes sense to you. And this is my wood cube, candle, or plant stand, and I love the butcher block look of the stained wood cubes combined with the slightly industrial black block and wood cube legs. Kind of butcher block meets modern industrial little riser, and another interesting use for those oh so hard to use brown tumbling tower blocks. Thanks, Dollar Tree, but seriously, an original look using nothing but Dollar Tree wood cubes and tumbling tower blocks. We're on a roll. For this DIY, so a full disclosure, I restarted this DIY 3 times. Here I printed out a picture of this deer with antlers. I think you call them antlers. And this is from an image search on Google, and I'm using some wood craft sticks from Dollar Tree and some hot glue to sort of trace the image with the craft sticks to create a 2-dimensional version of this image. Well, it started out okay, but by the time I get to the small features around the face, well, it just starts to look like a hot, gluey mess with wood craft sticks. And the facial features really didn't look all that great to me. So I attempted round 2 of this project with a simpler deer image, and this time I'm using bamboo skewers from Dollar Tree and still tracing the image with the wood skewers the same way as before. But I figured the detailed facial features would be easier to achieve with the wood skewers. And at the same point as before, basically, I realized I was wrong. Same problem, hot gluey mess, and not a super detailed accurate face of a deer. And I scrapped this second attempt, and honestly, I was ready to just call it a day and only have 2 projects for you guys this week, but I had one last try in me. So round 3, same simple deer image. I lay a piece of parchment paper over the image, and this time I'm just going to trace the entire image using nothing but hot glue. Super simple, just tracing the entire thing and creating a slightly 2-dimensional version of this image in hot glue. Once the glue had dried, I peeled it off the parchment paper, and using some Apple Barrel matte jet black paint, I painted the entire hot glue image until it was a solid black color, and I set it aside to dry. I have this 12-inch wood round I got on Amazon, and I'll link it for you below. And using a mixture of water and Faux antique wax, I paint the entire wood round with the antique wax and water, and then set that aside to dry. I had traced the deer image onto a piece of white poster board and cut it out to use as a background for my hot glue deer head. Since none of my attempts at making this deer out of actual wood had worked for me, I figured I'd attempt to create a faux wood finish background for my glue deer to rest on. So I first paint the surface of the poster board using this Apple Barrel antique white, which I will link for you below, covering the whole cutout with the antique white. And after a few minutes, I mixed up some Waverly clear wax with some Faux Art butter pecan paint, both of which I'll link for you below. I grab a dry chip brush and sparingly brush some of the beige colored wax on top of the antique white color, attempting to create a very light colored faux wood finish. And then I'm going to set that aside to dry. Once the poster board is dry, I turn my glue deer over and use some Elmer's glue stick to cover the back of the hot glue deer. Then I place that deer glue stick side down onto the poster board. And then I'm going to trim some of that excess poster board that's peeking out beyond the black deer outline so that it'll look a little bit neater. I take my deer head and use some hot glue to attach it centered onto my 12-inch wood round. Now, I did my best centering it, but looking at it now, it was far from perfect. You can do better than I did. I had some large wood half rounds I got on Amazon. I'll link them for you below. I painted 16 of them with the same black paint that I used on my hot glue deer. Then I spaced out the 16 large wood half rounds around the edge of my 12-inch wood round, circling the faux wood deer in the middle, and I hot glued them in place. And here's my faux wood deer on a real wood plaque. Was the 3rd time a charm? I don't know. I don't love it. You know, I have to be real with you guys. I don't love it. It's giving me like giant chocolate chip cookie vibes. I don't know what to say. Not my favorite. I hope we can all get past it together. Thanks for joining me on this creative journey. I hope these Dollar Tree DIYs inspire you to add a touch of luxury to your home. If you love these hacks, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Medicated Housewife DIYs for more high-end decor ideas on a budget. Let me know in the comments which DIY was your favorite and why. You know I love hearing from all of you. Thanks for watching. Until next time, remember that together we're making the world a more beautiful place. One DIY at a time. We're making the world... Okay, yeah. She's had enough of that.